Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
Will you testify under oath right now? Do we have operational control, yes or no?
Yes, we do. And
we have operational control of the borders.
Yes, we do. And Congressman, we are working to...
Listen, what operational control defined. In this section, the term operational control means the prevention of all unlawful entries into the United States, including entries by terrorists, other unlawful aliens, instruments of terrorism, narcotics, and other contraband. Do you stand behind your testimony that we have operational control in light of this definition?
We do. And Congressman, I think the Secretary of Homeland Security would have said the same thing in 2020 and in 2019.
Well, the Secretary would have at least had a basis for saying that we have some sort of control of the border. But the fact is, we currently have people flowing across the border, including dangerous narcotics and dangerous members of terrorists, which your own agency sent a letter to my office after 8 months. We sent a letter saying there are 42 people on the terrorist watch list that are in the United States. You just said to Mr. Jordan, you don't even know where the hell they are.
Frankly, Mr. Secretary, I think that your performance is despicable. And I think the fact that you are not willing to provide answers to this committee is absolutely atrocious.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
If you'd like to have a minute to respond, you are welcome to.
I would, and I'm not sure I'll limit it to 60 seconds.
That's fine.
Number one, what I found despicable is the implication that this language, tremendously odious, actually it could be emblematic of the sentiments of the 260,000 men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Number one. Number two, Senator Hawley takes an adversarial approach to me in this question, and perhaps he doesn't know my own background. Perhaps he does not know that I am the child of a Holocaust survivor. Perhaps he does not know that my mother lost almost all her family at the hands of the Nazis. And so I find his adversarial tone to be entirely misplaced. I find it to be disrespectful of me and my heritage. And I do not expect an apology, but I did want to say what I just articulated.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 216. The resolution is not adopted.
Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here. So Mayorkas, the vote to impeachment fell short by, I believe, about 4 votes from Republicans. There were 4 votes that made it go the other way. Maybe it was by 2 votes, but I know 4 Republicans voted against it. We're going to talk about that, play a clip again, and then I want to talk about Trump talked about Bud Light. Finally, I know for a while he wasn't mentioning that. Some people don't care, some people do, but there's a reason I'm talking about it. It's deeper than, just the Bud Light boycott itself. Then we're going to talk about Elon Musk. It seems like he's doing more to campaign for Republicans on Twitter than most Republicans are, so that's interesting. And also I want to talk about Biden may cancel the debates, or he might back out of the debates with Trump. And then also I'll let you guys know why the Bill Mitchell interview isn't happening today. It's my fault. It's not his fault. So let you know in a second. Dream Rare Podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, folks? So I'll start with that. The Bill Mitchell interview, I just passed out. I apologize. I told people yesterday that I was under the weather, and today I'm not 100%, but I'm not like terribly ill or anything. Obviously, I could do my job, but I just passed out, and we were supposed to do it at 3 o'clock. I woke up at like 3:15, 3:20, so I haven't heard back from him, but it's 100% my fault. I apologize, and he's welcome back later this week whenever he wants. Sorry about that. It's definitely my fault. So is what it is, though. There's a lot of stories today, so, not short of content. Sorry about that, guys. I want to play this clip real quick of Secretary Mayorkas. I played it at the beginning, but I feel like it says everything about everything. And I watched Matt Walsh today on Twitter, right? He's arguing with black people, talking about reparations. He's like, you don't deserve reparations. There's a different type of reparations that Matt Walsh will never talk about, which is the reparations that currently are being taken from American taxpayers to other people. Kathy Hochul said she secured over $180 million for Holocaust survivors. And if you talk about this, they'll try to ruin your life and say that you are something you aren't or whatever, that you deny, whatever. But the truth is, like, didn't America help? Like, I was reading comments and people were like, my grandfather was in the military and helped freed people in that country. Why would I be paying reparations for that? But the thing is, Matt Walsh, as tough as he acts, he's Mr. Tough Guy or whatever. He'll never talk about it. He'll never say it. He just argues with black people on Twitter because he's allowed to do that. But he's not allowed to talk about the hundreds of millions at minimum of reparations that are currently being paid today, because you're not allowed to. It's the ultimate card to play. And you could watch Secretary Mayorkas, who I wasn't even aware of his heritage. It wasn't something that I even thought about or cared about, but he made it the central argument of why you should never call him out for being so terrible at his job. He wants you to know, like, it's almost like he's letting Holly know, like, you can't tell me what to do, bro. I don't think you know who I am.
Frankly, Mr. Secretary, I think that your performance is despicable. And I think the fact that you are not willing to provide answers to this committee is absolutely atrocious.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Like, if you'd like to have a minute to respond, you are welcome to.
I would, and I'm not sure I'll limit it to 60 seconds.
That's fine.
Number one, what I found despicable is the implication that this language, tremendously odious, actually it could be emblematic of the sentiments of the 260,000 men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Number one. Number two, Senator Hawley takes an adversarial approach to me in this question, and perhaps he doesn't know my own background. Perhaps he does not know that I am the child of a Holocaust survivor. Perhaps he does not know that my mother lost almost all her family at the hands of the Nazis. And so I find his adversarial tone to be entirely misplaced. I find it to be disrespectful of me and my heritage. And I do not expect an apology, but I did want to say what I just articulated.
You might be asking yourself, like most of America, what does that have to do with the horrible job he's doing at the border? Clearly something if he brought it up, so you could try to figure that one out. Apparently, according to reports, the impeachment of Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has failed 214 to 216. 4 Republicans voted no. Mike Gallagher, Tom McClintock, Ken Buck, and Blake Moore. Why? I'm not sure. Anna Paulina Luna says they're voting again next week. I'm not a big impeachment person. I think most of it's theater, and like impeaching Biden, it's like he won the election. But, if you're going to impeach anybody in the Biden administration, if it's not the attorney general, I would say the smartest person to impeach would be this guy, because clearly, like, he's not doing his job. He can't do his job. And he's purposely not doing his job, I would say. Like, he's playing stupid and then just playing the victim when you call him out for leaving the border wide open. And then he's lying about it. He told Chip Roy, if you guys didn't see the beginning, maybe I'll play it again for those who missed it. He's out there trying to pretend like the border's secure. I'll just play it really quick because I'm not going to play the whole intro video. But like, Chip Roy's like, are you saying the border's secure? And he's just like, yeah. Like, he knows that that's not true. I'm not a huge fan of impeachment, but if you're going to impeach anybody, I would think that you could do this. But there is an election right now. There's an election in November. We're going to talk about how this is on the ballot. And, I wish Republicans and Trump were doing a good job. I think everybody knows, like, Trump's the border guy, even though Biden tries to gaslight you into thinking he's not. But you would think that they would drive this point home. It feels like, to me, maybe I spend too much time on Twitter. It feels like Elon Musk is doing more to convince people that Biden sucks and Mayorkas sucks and Mark Cuban sucks. Like, I know Elon is very powerful and cool, and you can't, just become that. Like, you can't become as influential as Elon Musk. But it does just feel like it's not that I trust him and want to put a computer chip in my head. It's not that I think every Republican could be Elon Musk. But sometimes it's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. And Elon Musk seems to say it very logically and reasonably. Like, he explains it really well. And it feels like Republicans, for whatever reason, aren't as good at like explaining why you should vote for them and why the border's insane. But Elon just seems like he's just freaking out about it because he's smart and he knows like basic math and science. And he's just like, this is insane. And this is what we get from the Democrats, just pure gaslighting.
Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
Will you testify under oath right now? Do we have operational control, yes or no?
Yes, we do. And
we have operational control of the borders.
Yes, we do. And Congressman, we are
testify-
working to...
Listen what
Like, they think we're stupid, and they might be right, you know? It's one of those things, you're like, they definitely think we're dumb. And I don't want to believe that they're right, but this is such an easy narrative to win. It's like the border's wide open. Only one party seems to kind of care about it. But for some reason, we're losing the information war among the youth. And, you know, I can't really explain why that is necessarily, but I am, to be quite honest, I'm stalling a little bit here. Hold on a sec. I got to like move my light in order to bounce this video. Sorry, I'm my own editor and booker. But I have this video real quick that I want to show you guys. I made like a little Instagram reel about income tax. And the reason I want to show you is, one, I made it for a reason so people could see it. But also, most people responded really well. I don't want to ignore the 99%. Sometimes I do that. It's like a thing that you do. Like, you know, everyone could say something nice, and then like 10 people say something annoying, and you hone in on that. I don't know why I do that, but I think that's like a human nature sort of thing. You kind of see the criticism or the people that disagree with you more than the people that agree. But it's the psychology of why people can't understand basic stuff. I think it kind of relates to this video, where like with the left, why can't they understand that the border's wide open? Why can't they understand what's going on? Why can't they understand that it's bad and it makes no sense and it's really going to cost our country because we're like losing legal immigration and we're just being flooded with illegal immigrants from people from 100 countries all over the world? It's a simple concept, but I truly believe, and I've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years because I've seen it. You know, I think when I saw it just from the left, it was like easier to just blame them and be like, the left sucks. It's like, yes, the left sucks. You know, they don't know what they're doing. But once you realize the right kind of has that same emotional attachment to their team and they can't understand basic stuff when it's outside of the scope of what they're talking about, you're like, oh, something's going on in this country and people are not thinking straight. So here, before we talk about the Bud Light stuff, I just wanted to play this because just let you know a quick background before I play it. I read a lot of books. I'm not like the smartest person in the world or a bookworm to that extent, but I've read a couple books over the last few years. And one of them was the Communist Manifesto. It's short, it's easy. I wanted to know what it really said because I always watched Republicans talk about communism, but I thought maybe they were lying, or I thought maybe they didn't know what they were talking about. And when I read it, I came to the conclusion that they don't know what they're talking about. Because when I used to hear Republicans talk about communism, they used to say, oh, it's a naive concept. It means well, but it doesn't work in the real world. And the truth is, I don't think it means well. I think Karl Marx was a sneaky snake. And I don't think he meant for it to work. I think he meant to suck up all the money. Like if you control the banks and you control the means of transportation and you do income tax and like you're just stealing people's money. So I don't believe, like, I think Republicans explain it bad. They're like, it means well. And it's like, it absolutely does not. Like, I don't think his intentions were to help people. I think he just said that in order to try to like take the means of all production. That being said, I think both parties are communist. I think Trump is a communist. I think Biden's a communist. I think Obama's a communist. I know that sounds crazy and extreme, but let me explain why. It's because income tax is not natural. And no matter who wins, they're going to be taxing over 30% to the highest bracket, which is Karl Marx would probably like cream his pants if he knew that America was taxing over 30% and both parties were going to do it. Like, he already won. We lost. It doesn't matter who wins the election. I'm not saying it doesn't. Vote for Trump if you want the secure border, obviously. I'm just saying financially, this country's going down the tubes for this reason. And it's a tough concept for people to realize because it doesn't fall under the category of like Trump bad, bad man bad, or good man good, or he's going to save us, or he's going to ruin us. It's deeper than that. And it feels like 95% of people, they can't comprehend that for whatever reason. When Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, there was no income tax in America. His idea to get to communism was a graduated income tax. I consider both the Democrat and Republican Party socialist parties at this point. They both tax insane amounts, and they've normalized it to the point where you think you're winning something. You pick Trump or Biden, and you really think you're beating the other side, but these things are never going to change. And this is not a jab at Trump. People are so sensitive. I'm just saying, literally how the system works is why nothing ever changes and continuously gets worse and will continue to do so until people figure this out. Whether Obama, Trump, or Biden is in, they all sign these giant multi-trillion-dollar omnibus bills. Whether it's Speaker Johnson or Speaker Pelosi, the puppets in Congress just argue over, should we send hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, or no, that's bad, we should just send hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel over time. And you put on a MAGA hat or a pussy hat and fight in these cultural battles, which will never get deep enough to change the, in my opinion, communist income tax that both parties don't care about, and the foreign aid that is spiraling out of control. Now, even though this is true, people will constantly get mad at my videos like this because they see not playing along to the false paradigms and political circus as a threat to their mindset and existence. Let me know what you guys think. So that's the video I made, right? And it's funny because I always do kind of hone in on the negative comments. Like, a lot of people said they agree, but then I saw one guy said, you're killing your career, you're never going to come back from this. I'm never going to come back from an educational video about how communism works and how income tax is communist. Oh yeah, I should have never said that, right? I should have just yelled cat turd phrases so people felt good about themselves. Like, okay. And then, but when I post this on Instagram, it got over 100,000 views. It got hundreds of comments. Like, I know I'm hard on myself, or I see the negative sometimes, unfortunately, when I'm like putting out content. But I would say I have a bigger engagement than like most people. Like, even pages with millions of followers, they'll post something and get like no comments, and I'll get like 1,000 comments. So people do respond well to it. But then sometimes I read certain comments and it's not that it really bothers me that much, although it kind of does. It's just, it's frustrating because it's like trying to like help a liberal fix San Francisco, and then they just yell at you. You're like, hey, we should clean up the streets of San Francisco. This is a nice city if we clean it up. And everyone's like, shut up, you Nazi, you fascist. And you're like, what? You're like, no, I just want to like clean the streets. And they're like, oh, that sounds like Putin and Trump. And you're like, no, I literally just want to like clean the streets so like Asian parents aren't getting like punched in the face. And they're like, why don't you move to the South? Or, and it's like, okay, that's how I feel when I put these videos out. Like, someone said Trump's going to abolish income tax. Like, no, he's not. They're like, he said that. He never said that. I think he talked about payroll tax, which is a tiny tax, but income tax, the top bracket's going to pay 35, 37%. This isn't a jab at him. It's just how the system works. A lot of people, like this lady said in the comments, what's the solution? The solution is to figure this stuff out. I hate to always default to COVID, but I feel like COVID was the greatest psychological experiment of our time. It's like, what would you do if the government told you to stay in the house? How long would you listen? Would you get the vaccine when they told you they'd take everything away? How long would you wear a mask? What would you do for the money? What would you do to see your family? What would you do to go to a wedding? What would you do to leave the country? What would you do to go on a cruise? What would you do to go to a sports game? It was the ultimate psychological test to see what people were willing to do to stand up for themselves and what they believe in. And you kind of just saw the results. Like, the reason it lasted so long is because so many people played along. There were times that I was fooled or slightly tricked. I never like fully thought it was amazing, but when they say there's a virus coming, it could be scary. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, or like I was nervous when my parents were like going to work, and I was like, why are you? I don't want you to be an essential worker or whatever. But then like after like 7, 6, 8 days, like my job as not only a journalist, like this is what I do, so I got to do it for a living. But in my opinion, if you're an American citizen and you're being told that you can't leave your house, or you can't go to the store without a mask on, or you can't go anywhere, you can't see your family in the hospital, it's your patriotic duty to do research and educate yourself and try to figure out what's going on so you can use your American will to stop it if it goes too far. I know I do this for a living, so I spent more time on the computer than most, but what else could you possibly even do during lockdowns besides play video games and watch TV? Like, there wasn't really much to do. So I'm not saying like everybody, if you fell for 15 days to slow the spread, you're horrible and you're terrible. But if you couldn't figure it out, like I'm not, I do think I'm smart, but I don't think I'm like, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. I'm not like a math genius. I'm not terrible at math, but it's not like my strong point. You know, I'm not like a calculus wizard with like a PhD. I'm just a guy with a computer, just like everyone. You know, everyone has this technology. You don't have to be good at math because you have something called a calculator built into your cell phone and your computer. So I just looked at the data, right? I'm like, here's what they're telling us. And just with the data they were telling us, it wasn't adding up. Trump wasn't right when he told Sweden to lock down. Fauci wasn't right. None of these people were right. And I could figure this out with a high school degree, you know what I'm saying? And just basic common sense. But most people don't care. They're defaulting. They're like, I'll trust Fauci. I'll trust the TV. The experts will do what I want. The doctors will do what I want. I trust Trump. He'll trust the plan. He'll figure it out. So people are exporting their opinions to other people. And that's what got us into this mess. So I'm not blaming people who fell for COVID for 7 days, but nobody listened to me. I figured this out like within 8 days. I was like, dude, we got to open the country up. Like the data's not adding up. And like I said, it's not this crazy huge math equation. I put out videos in March. I literally had a video in March that I said, here's why I know that the death rate is inflated. It's not as high. It's a simple math equation. They're saying that everyone that got tested, they're getting sick. It's a 5% rate. Once they hand out tests to everybody, that rate's going to go down because the only people who could get tests are athletes and really sick people. So that number is going to be inflated. Like it's basic third grade math, but nobody was doing it. So when people ask when it comes to income tax and stuff like that, what's the solution? It's the same thing as like COVID. It's like if everybody could figure stuff out quickly, this would have ended 2 years prior. But since 98% of the population just goes with the flow, they either export their faith into Fauci or export their faith into Trump. It ended when they told you it ended, you know? So it's like, I remember I had a debate with this guy, Nuance Bro, on May 1st, I think, of 2020. And I said, fully open all businesses. And he said 50%, 50%. And he's such a pseudo intellectual. I like Nuance Bro. He's a nice guy, but you know, he's not as smart as he thinks he is. He still stands by his thing. He's like, it was right to do 50%. Who are you to tell a business that it's 50% open? What changed from May till then? It was always tyrannical. It's just like, that's what you get. The left wants to do it. The right plays these games of like, I'll do 50%. He still won't admit he was wrong, but everybody knows he was. Like, why would you close a business 50% in May? It doesn't make any sense, but that's all I'm saying. So when it comes to this stuff, what's the solution? The real solution is to figure this stuff out, because once you figure out the game being played, they can't play it anymore. But if you can't figure out the game being played, you're just a fan and a spectator, and you have to play whatever game's being played. And I figured out recently, I know like the one guy says, your career's over. If my career's over, how come, despite the fact that I've gone against the grain, how come I'm getting thousands of comments on all my Instagram things? And you got all these big influencers that post and no one gives a crap. I'm still relevant. I'm still popular. People still want to listen, you know, all around the world, because they know that although it's not going to be popular among certain tribes, people know that they can come to my page and see something interesting or thought-provoking. But in general, this is like, the left will tell you, just vote for us and we'll fight the fascists or whatever they call the right wingers. Now we'll fight the abortion laws and whatever, you know, and then you come to the right and they tell you, just vote for Trump and then I'll fix all your problems. And most people, it's the same as COVID. They're just like, here, you do it and I'll just sit here. So it's like, now you're exporting your American patriotism to two politicians and hoping that one of the parties will fix your problems. And the truth is it won't, you know. If everyone paid attention like I did the entire time during COVID, it would have only lasted a week or a week and a half instead of 2 years. But that's not what we have. It's the same as all this stuff. Like the truth is, got to pay attention, got to be honest about the game that's being played. And once you're honest about it, they can't play it anymore. But the kind lie is all you have to do is vote and end there. And I'm not, for those who get it misconstrued, I'm not telling you not to vote. You vote based on logic. Which party's better for you? Locally, I vote all Republican. I do my research on all the props and all the bills, and I vote on everything. I believe voting does matter to an extent, but nationally, lobbyists, corporations, mega donors, foreign countries have swallowed up almost every politician. I mean, it's crazy to say that, but it seems like it's almost definitely true. How did they do it? Why? You know, it's hard to really tell, but, you know, there's certain Epstein stories that make it like somewhat clear of what went on. But as far as how they got so much control over everything, it's fascinating. But I would say that money, if you have enough money, it's easy to buy things. Like, say you have like a bajillion dollars, like you can just buy every farm in America. Like that's what, and there's another kind of moral to that story too. If you're not willing to buy, they can't sell it. And if you're not willing to sell, they can't necessarily buy. So, I think there's too many people that are sellouts. There's not enough people that are brave. There's not enough people that won't take the bait or take the money or do what they know is slightly wrong for money. And that's the country we live in. So the solution, like when I talk about the income tax, it sucks hearing like, man, both sides are kind of communist. And it's like, what do we do? It's like, point out that that's true. Like the deep state keeps growing because we're just feeding it with our tax dollars. And then when they can't take our tax dollars, they just print money. But the truth is they're all doing it. Trump does it, Biden does it, and Trump will do it again. I know like people don't want to hear that, but it's like it's like lying to somebody. It's like men that are conservative don't want to hear that because it's like too hard of an answer. They'd rather just be like a sports fan of a guy and then spiral every 4 months when what they want didn't work. And it's so bizarre to me. So I think the solution is just, you got to figure out the game that's being played. It's just like COVID. If you export your patriotism into one of the parties, you're going to get the slippery slope. You're either going to get a lockdown for 5 months or a lockdown for 2 years, and both are bad. That can all end if people just paid attention. So that's really the only solution in this world. It's like trying to run a successful business without putting in the work. Like, there's always going to be someone that tells you like, just watch me and I'll fix it. And it's like, the truth is, I do social media consulting now, dreamrarebiz.com, DREAMRARBIZ.com. And I give people the best advice that I could give when it comes to social media consulting. I've made millions of followers, billions of views. I've done this for 15 plus years. But at the same time, I'm honest, where it's like, if you don't care, it's not going to work. I could sit like the lie would be like, oh, just follow my steps barely, and then like everything will work. The truth is, here's the formula to make it work. But the juice of the formula is like, how much do you care? How much passion do you have? If you run a business and you're like, I don't care about my social media, and you don't hire anybody that cares about your social media, it's like, it doesn't just grow because you don't care. You have to make great content. You have to have passion about it. You have to like fall in love with the journey. If you don't, it's like impossible to make it work. So that like a lot of people don't want to hear that though. When it comes to politics, it's like a scary thought that they have to like pay attention more. Cause then, I think it comes from like an ego or pride thing where it's like, then you have to admit that you weren't doing the right thing at a certain point. And it's easier to just like keep doing it and play along. Speaking of which, I wanted to get into like the Bud Light stuff because I just found it interesting. And I'm not being hateful. I'm just kind of observing political stuff. Like I used to, and I'm only one example real quick. Like I have a Facebook page with like 1,500,000 people. I have a Twitter that reaches like 50 million people a month or so, maybe more. Like I have a pretty big reach. But the point that I'm getting is like, I try to share content that I think is good. I'm not voting for RFK. I'll vote for Trump before I vote for RFK, but I share more of RFK's content because he gives me stuff to share. He says like Trump used to do that, but now he sits on Truth Social and he doesn't use Twitter. And anytime he uses Instagram, he posts like weird, goofy, like, things for his fan base that don't make sense. Like I want to show you real quick. I shared this RFK post to my Facebook page today, and it probably reached like 100,000 people, or it will. I would have shared Trump saying this. I just don't see him saying stuff like this anymore. Like he used to be on the pulse of society, and now he's just like not there. And then I want to get into the Bud Light stuff here. So this is RFK, right? He said this. He said, mainstream media journalists have interviewed Putin many times before. The only difference is now they can't control the narrative. Zelensky has been given numerous primetime interviews. Osama bin Laden has been interviewed before. We have a right to hear from everyone, no matter how you feel personally about them. Talking about Tucker Carlson. He's 100% right? I'm not going to vote for RFK, but he's right here. It's an honest thing to say, and I shared it to my page. I like to share things that are good and accurate and fair and reasonable, regardless of who says them, right? He just gives me more things to share. I haven't seen, like, this is what Trump posted. I tried to go to his Instagram. I'm like, did he talk about this yet? He posts a picture of him looking like Elvis, and he says, for many years, they've been saying I'm an Elvis lookalike. Now the pic's all over the place. What do you think? Like, this is a joke. It's like kind of moderately funny, but like, it's like, he's not commenting on Tucker and Putin. Like he's not giving me shareable stuff. He's like comparing himself to Elvis Presley, which is kind of funny, but also kind of like weird. It'd be like, do I look like Brad Pitt, guys? And everyone's like, no, you don't, Anomaly. And it's like, damn it. I thought I did. What are you talking about? I thought some people say I look like Jason Momoa, but I'm not going to post a meme. It's a little douchey, honestly. But he posted this on his True Social. It's the only thing I've seen go public recently. He said the Bud Light ad was a mistake of epic proportions, and for that, a very big price was paid. But Anheuser-Busch is not a woke company. I can give you plenty that are. I'm building a list, and I might release it for the world to see. Why not? The radical left does it viciously to well-run conservative companies and people. Very nasty, but it's the way they play the game. On the other hand, Anheuser-Busch spends $700 million a year with our great farmers, employs 65,000 Americans, of 1,500 are veterans, and founding corporate partner of Folds of Honor, which provides scholarships for families that have fallen servicemen and women. They've raised over $30 million and given 44,000 scholarships. Anheuser-Busch is a great American brand that perhaps deserves a second chance. What do you think? Perhaps instead we should be going after these companies that are destroying America. So he hasn't talked about the Bud Light stuff until now, and I just want to show you real quick. As I'm not disagreeing with what he said completely, but it came out in the press last year that Trump, who was notably silent on the Bud Light boycott, owns $5 million in Anheuser-Busch stock, record show. So he never commented on the boycott. He's got more money in Anheuser-Busch than most people have in general, like invested in them. $5 million is more than most people in this country have at all. And that's what he has invested in Anheuser-Busch. So, of course, he wants to lay off the boycott. And, Dana White, who he's friends with, he did a huge deal with Bud Light. I mean, it's probably like a $10 or $100 million deal, who knows, with the UFC. So they're the official brand. And Dana said you should be drinking gallons of Bud Light. And that really pissed me off because I like Dana White. I like Trump for the most part. In some ways I don't anymore. But it's one thing to do a big deal with Anheuser-Busch. It's another thing to tell people they should be drinking gallons of Bud Light. And maybe this is why conservatives always lose. Like, these are our heroes. Like that, our hero is like a leader that's going to stand up there and tell us to drink gallons of Bud Light. Like, that's terrible advice, regardless of whether you like Bud Light or not. Like, you shouldn't be drinking gallons. That's insane. But, here's my take on all this. I don't think Anheuser-Busch is even an American company anymore, but they do have American jobs. Here's the thing. The reason that Trump never really said anything was probably because he owned $5 million of stock in them. That's fine. Whatever. Everybody owns stock. Dana White, he didn't say anything about the Bud Light boycott until they paid him. So it's like Bud Light needed to get over this bad press. And I was reading all the comments under Trump's post. Everybody was saying, they haven't apologized to us. We don't forgive Bud Light until they apologize to us, which is fair. It's just, if you listen to Dana, he says they're not going to apologize to you. Do you know why they're not going to apologize to you? Because they've already apologized to Dana White's bank account. They've already apologized to Donald Trump's bank account. These people are getting paid Bud Light reparations, and you're getting nothing. So it's like, they're like, shut up. And then, of course, John Daly and Kid Rock are friends with Dana. So now they come out and they're against the Bud Light boycott or whatever. I saw Kid Rock say it's over. Yeah, it's over because Dana got paid. It's like, listen, if that's what it's about, getting paid and then it's over, pay me, give me $10 million and then we'll end the boycott. Don't pay two people in MAGA, the leaders, and then they're like, okay, Patriots, cut it off. It's like, cut some of that money. Dana should pay some Trump supporters and Trump should pay some of his supporters. If that's why you stop the boycott, then give your supporters some money and then they could feel the same as you, like they had an apology. But it's kind of douchey for Dana to take this huge Bud Light deal. And then he says, drink gallons of Bud Light. And then people are like, they didn't give an apology. And he's like, they're not going to give you an apology. Shut up about that. They gave your bank account an apology though, bro. It's like with leaders like this on the right, it's no wonder that nothing really happens. But yeah, I get they have American jobs. I get they messed up. I never was boycotting them anyway because I think Bud Light tastes like piss. But, to each their own. Everybody likes a different flavor. I just found it funny. I just saw that he came out with that statement and then someone pointed out that he had $5 million in stock. It's like, people don't want to believe that their leaders are like this, but it's like, why did Trump sell the vaccine so hard? Because he sold out to big pharma like every other politician. People still to this day will come to my comments and be like, he never took any money. He told you he never took any money, but he lied. So they said he never took any mega donor money. Guys, do you know how much money Trump and the GOP took from Sheldon Adelson? They took more money than George Soros paid in certain elections. Like, you don't even know that because you don't even know how right-wing politics works. It's like they take donor money, they take corporate money. Trump took Pfizer money. That's why he hired the swamp. That's why he oversold vaccines. Like, he sold out, just like they're selling out now. It's like they take money and then it's over, you know? Just be honest about it. And all I'm saying is if the boycott's over, you know, for Trump supporters because Dana got paid and Trump's making money, then they should cut you money. But instead, you're giving them money and then they're paying tens of millions of dollars with Trump for his legal fees. You're paying for his legal fees. Crazy stuff. I wanted to point this out real quick because we talked about Sebastian Gorka, and he basically called Tucker or hinted that Tucker was like, you know, a KGB. I don't know exactly what he said. So he said back in the day, the only people pushing propaganda were like Kremlin linked people. Like he suggested that Tucker was Kremlin linked. Look what a tool Sebastian Gorka is. He has on his Twitter from like a couple months ago, he's selling free Tucker Carlson shirts. This guy, I don't like to use the word grifter because it's overused. This guy is the ultimate grifter. He's the ultimate dork. He's the ultimate tool. The fact that Trump keeps hiring dorks like this is so ridiculous. Look at what a clown this guy is, trying to shit on Tucker Carlson for doing an interview with Putin like a controlled opposition scumbag. This guy is such scum. Look, just a couple months ago, he says, free Tucker, support his release from the fake news. Let Tucker speak. Yeah, let him speak. Oh, I'm going to grift off Tucker and sell Let Tucker Speak t-shirts. What a freaking tool Sebastian Gorka is, right? So he's selling Let Tucker Speak t-shirts. And then today he says, I remember when Americans didn't do PR for KGB colonels, well, without being agents of the Kremlin, suggesting that he's an agent of the Kremlin. But don't worry, Sebastian Gorka, big dork boy, is selling more news coming out about the deep state. Buy my Trump shirt, buy my Tucker shirt. It's like the least you can do if you're going to call Tucker or suggest he's a KGB agent. The least you could do is not try to grift off of like his name and sell, t-shirts saying free Tucker. Like, it's so dorky. It's so corny. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was even funnier that he had the free Tucker shirts. What a joke. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read a few comments and I'm going to cut this one under an hour. So the Mayorkas impeachment failed by 4 votes. I've said this on my show a lot. I'm not a huge impeachment fan of like impeach. It's like just win the damn election so you don't have to impeach all the time. But with Mayorkas, I mean, if you're going to impeach anyone in the Biden administration, the guy who's supposed to be securing the border, that says he's securing the border, that's leaving it wide open and crying victim and saying you can't speak, you can't criticize his horrible leadership because of World War II. That guy probably deserves to be impeached, but it didn't work. So is what it is. Allegedly, the news is coming out that Ronna Romney McDaniel is stepping down from the RNC. Thank God. Hopefully someone better takes that spot because she definitely sucked at her job, but we'll see. What do you guys think about the Bud Light boycott? I didn't see the comments. What do you think about Trump saying to lay off it when he has $5 million in stock? And what do you think about any of the stuff I said? I'll read some comments. Someone said we only drank Bud Light when Black Label was sold out. I mean, everybody has a taste, I don't like to like overly criticize, but to me, Bud Light, I've never if I'm going to go out, I put on a monocle. I look like the Monopoly man and I'm like, excuse me, can I have, like, I need a sophisticated drink. You feel me? I'm not drinking no Bud Light. I'm just kidding. It's not that sophisticated. I just don't like the taste. I like a beer that has like a little more oomph to it. I'm not like a Guinness guy. I'm not going to it's not St. Patty's Day over here, but I want something with a little more kick to it. I don't like the watered down. The problem with those like cheap cans, like Coors Light, Bud Light, all those, you drink like 30% of it. And then the rest of it just tastes like piss and water. Like I need a little more kick. Someone said you're not a good person for boycotting Bud Light. Someone said you're a bad person for used to drink Bud Light. It's like, drink gallons, patriots, drink gallons. It's like, no, thank you. Someone said Don Jr. was saying to lay off the boycott. Now we know why. Yeah, I mean, it's just goofy. Someone said real men drink real beer. Most beer is terrible. Someone said it gives you man boobs. What do I think about our money system and how I debase our currency? Well, I talked about it 20 minutes ago, so I won't repeat myself too much. But yeah, I mean, Thomas Massey nails it. Ron Paul used to talk about it. People don't want to hear this. It's so funny because with Ron Paul, I understand he was a little small and meek, and, Americans like a tough guy or whatever, so they didn't want to listen to Ron Paul. But if you listen to Ron Paul, and Thomas Massey, it's just true. Like every time they send hundreds of billions of dollars or tens of billions of dollars to a foreign country, doesn't matter if it's Israel, doesn't matter if it's Ukraine, doesn't matter if it's Uganda or wherever else they're sending all the money. Like it's a tax on the American. They're taking money from you, or they're printing money and giving it to another country. It's going to affect the currency. And then you print the money during COVID. Like it just is what it is. But the American people, I can't just blame the left anymore, because after COVID, watching Trump supporters make excuses for all that, you see how the elites work. They just give you characters that you think, like Obama says change, Trump says change. They do the same thing. And then they get people to make excuses for it. Like I'm sure liberals will be like, Obama tried his best. He's just black, And then I'm sure Republicans are like, Trump tried his best, that he just hired bad people. Like, they get you to fall in love with their characters who are just like, doing not very much. But people can't get over that. I don't know what to do. It's like, I don't want to argue with people on loop, but the people that hate Trump and the people that are obsessed with Trump, they're both ruining America. Like Trump worshipers are just as complicit in the destruction of America as Trump haters, like they're both like emotionally attached to this weird drama narrative. And when I wake up, like people say good cop, bad cop, I wake up and it's always like this story that doesn't matter about, it's like the courts did this to Trump, and then Lauren Boebert's like, ah, and then like Marjorie Taylor Greene's like, ah, and then like Elise Stefanik's like, ah, and then everyone's like, ah, and it's like, do people not realize this is like days of our lives out here? I'm not saying that like the court case doesn't matter, but they always know how to make a narrative around like a drama story that doesn't have to do with the money supply, the foreign wars, even the border. My big criticism of Trump right now, of many, is he's running for president. The border is like his thing. And RFK is like stealing his thunder, because RFK is posting about this, and Tucker, and like Trump is posting memes of himself saying he thinks he looks like Elvis Presley. Trump's an idiot. It's so crazy that Republicans picked him again. Like the guy is old. The guy's an idiot. Like, why? This is the perfect time to get everybody on our side. And Elon Musk is doing more, and RFK is doing more than he's doing. He's sitting on True Social yelling at Kayleigh McEnany and posting like Elvis Presley memes. He's such an idiot. But it's like, that's what you guys want. So, if he loses by 8 points, you'll never admit you picked a bad candidate. You'll just say, we got it stolen. We're victims. It's like, and then Sebastian Gorka will be like, buy Trump is a victim t-shirts, and you'll probably buy it. And it's like, that's what's going to happen. So, and then with the debate too, I saw a lot of people saying that, I want to say it was Mark Levin posted like, Joe effing Biden is going to skip the effing debate. He literally like posted something like that. He was like effing EFFING or whatever. And then people were correctly pointing out to Mark Levin, it's like, if Trump showed up for the Republican primary debate, then it would have been crazy for Biden to skip the debate. But since Trump skipped the debate, it makes sense for Biden to skip the debate. Like the only way that you can make Biden look like a scumbag for doing that is if Trump would have showed up. But like, and people don't realize that when a president is president, you don't have to debate. Like when Trump was president in 2020, he didn't debate Joe Walsh, the fake guy who was running as a Republican to get 1% of the vote, because Trump was the incumbent. The incumbent doesn't always debate. Like when you're president, Trump's president, he doesn't have to debate in the Republican primary in 2020. Joe Biden's president, he doesn't have to debate against RFK in the Democratic primary. That's normal. What's not normal is to not be an incumbent and to not show up to the Republican primary. I don't know in my lifetime if that's ever happened. I'm sure at one point it's maybe happened a long time ago, but that's totally not normal, because usually you can't win the election without showing up to the Republican primary debate as a not incumbent. So Trump broke protocol by not showing up because he knew that he would get out debated and look like an absolute idiot for his COVID handling and all his other scams. So he ignored it and just yelled and screamed on True Social, and then got arrested and won because he's the victim who's going to get revenge. And it's like Days of Our Lives 55. So now if Biden doesn't show up, you can't complain. Trump didn't show up to the debate. It's just like goofy loop theater. Everybody's caught on like a weird goofy loop. So someone said Elvis pushed big pharma, not cannabis. I don't know my Elvis history besides you're all shook up. I don't know if he smoked weed or not. I know he got fat or something, but I'm not out here to slander Elvis. We love Elvis in this household. According to Trump, he is the president. Yeah, same with according to the QAnon guy who like chopped his dad's head off. I'm sure he thought Trump was president too. Someone said it's a shame that baby boomers and Generation Z are making strides to work together on problems and religion is dividing everyone. I don't see it that way. Someone said at least Trump didn't mandate the vax. I've explained this before, so I don't want to be repetitive, but this is the Overton window. It's like the right does this, and this. It's all horrible. It's all corrupt. It's all socialist. It's all communist. It's all scammy. Trump hires a swamp. He prints trillions of dollars, $18 billion to big pharma. It's all corrupt. And then good cop, bad cop, they pass it over to Biden and he mandates it. And now the NPCs on the right, all they could say is, at least he didn't mandate it. It's like, when I think about the elites and how they literally think you're cattle, this is like the sad part to me. I'm like, you're not cattle. You're a human being. Act like a human. And then you act like cattle. And it's like, that's why they literally think you're cattle. They rounded you up during COVID like cattle. They're like, give him Trump. He'll do Operation Warp Speed. He'll yell things. And his supporters will just sit there drooling like cattle watching the television. And it's like, I'm trying to wake you up and be like, you're a human being. You have sovereignty. You have critical thinking skills. And you just want to act like a literal animal. So it's like, there's like, how many times do I have to explain that just because you don't mandate something? Opioids are not mandated, but there's been scandals. Bextra wasn't mandated. There was a huge multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Fentanyl is not mandated. Mandates are not the only part of the equation, but you act like drooling sheep just saying, well, at least you didn't do that. It's like, that's how they operate. Back in the day, they took no income tax. That's the whole point of the video I made. They took no income tax because income tax and graduated income tax is literally communist. Communists wanted that. Capitalists, free market people, it's theft. It's, in my opinion, it's even unconstitutional. Now they add 10%, 20%, 30%, 37%. You fast forward 100 years and you have a red goofball and a blue goofball who are owned by the same people. And they say, if I'm in office, I'm gonna lower it to 35%. And then they say, if I'm in office, I'm gonna make it 40%. And the left and the right are like, oh, you're not winning. It's both communist. It's so, you get what I'm saying? They move what's acceptable so far that people are so dumb. But this is why, like, the money is in telling conservatives that they're victims who deserve everything, right? That's what Trump and the GOP is doing, and Sebastian Dorka. They're like, you deserve everything you want if you just like us. And the truth is, you don't deserve shit if you're not smart enough to understand how 35% income tax and 40% income tax is a slippery slope that's gone so far. Karl Marx would have considered 10% income tax as communism. If you told Karl Marx, there's a party that wants to tax lower class 2%, middle class 5%, upper class 10%, Karl Marx would have creamed his pants. He would have been like, yes, that's going to lead to communism. We're just stealing people's money and giving it to the government. You don't even realize that 37% income tax is beyond theft. Like, you go to other countries, it's 45, 50%. It's literal theft. Like, they're normalizing theft. It's like you work your ass off and they take $60,000, $50,000. Every year I'm being robbed. I've worked my ass off my whole life. Robbed. And why do I get robbed every year? Because Democrats and Republicans are too stupid to realize it's happening. So what am I going to do? I pay taxes like a taxpayer, because you can't not pay taxes because they'll come take the taxes anyway. We're being robbed every year. And I despise Republicans just as much as Democrats because they're the reason I'm being robbed every year. They're drooling over Trump. At least you didn't mandate it. Like, there's a reason the elites think you're cattle, because you literally act like a bunch of cattle, and you get a leader that tells you that change is going to come, or they're going to fix the system, and you believe it. And it's like, it's the same when I didn't take the vaccine and everyone's like, I'm with you, Anomaly. And it's like, all right, but you got vaccinated. They're like, yeah, but I agree with you. It's like, okay, are you going to go to the sports game? Yeah. Are you going to travel? Yeah. Are you going to go on the cruise? Yeah. It's like okay. So you're complying. And if everybody does what you do, I'm screwed for the rest of my life because you're a sellout, but I'm with you in theory, but I'm going to use my vaccine card to go along with stuff. Then you're a sellout. It's like people like you are making my future bleaker and bleaker. That's just the truth. So it's like, It's frustrating. Someone said we need solutions. The solution, I'm going to say it again. You got to figure out the game that's being played. If you figure, I'm telling you the game that's being played. It's obvious the game that's being played, but people don't want to believe it. They want to buy into theater. He's going to save me. He's going to do it. No, he's not. He's going to cut income tax. No, he's not. But he'll do this. So what? Then 4 years later, you'll realize not that much has changed. And it's not, this is the ultimate irony of the situation. You're not a victim. It's not just the left doing it to you. Like, you deserve this. You deserve the country you have. Everything is deserved. America deserves this. You don't deserve the picket fence you had in the 70s. You don't deserve lower taxes. You don't deserve not inflation. If you can't even figure out that Trump is just as complicit as Biden in the inflation because of all the money he printed during COVID, you don't deserve a good economy. I know these politicians will, you deserve this and you deserve that. You don't, like, that's the truth. You don't. You deserve this. I know that's what no one wants to hear. They're like, if I vote for Trump, I deserve a good economy. You absolutely do not. But they'll tell you that because it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry that's rolling around and they're getting paid. It's like, it's politics. So like the solution is to figure out the game that's being played. If you don't, you deserve this. Yeah, I can't think of any nicer way to put it. Like, it's completely deserved. And that's the hard part for people to fathom. Like, they like a guy who just tells them that all they have to do is like run circles around Trump in order to like fix America. It's like, no, someone said we don't deserve this bullshit. You do, though. America absolutely does deserve this. Like, the country would be fixed if enough people cared and enough people knew what they were doing. During COVID, it would have ended in 2 weeks if people had a spine. What you have is a bunch of sheep and a bunch of people that act like animals. I know I'm being harsh right now, but it's just true. If you act like an animal, you'll get treated like an animal. Like, that's what's going on in this country. It's like, people, they don't want to think. They don't want to research. They don't want to stand up for themselves. They don't want to know. They just want someone to gaslight them. They want to watch a TV show. They want to watch Trump and pretend he's a TV show. Like, but you deserve it because you want it. No, that's not how life works. I'm sorry. Like, I see why the cities are falling apart. I see why the country's falling apart. I see why the economy's falling apart. It's obvious. It's very obvious what's going on in this country. And the truth is, no one's going to really tell you. There's a whole industry designed to not let you know, to get you involved in looking at left wing this and right wing that. Like, it's all part of the illusion. Let me see real quick. Someone said, did I hear Brian from Here's the Deal highlighted your analysis on Tim Pool's freak out? No. I saw him post something, but I didn't feel like watching it. Someone said, please keep waking people up to this. I mean, it just is what it is. It's like Canada or something. It's like, why does it keep happening in Canada? It's because 90% of the population can't figure it out or something. I don't know. Someone said people enjoy being lied to. Yeah, it's very weird to me. Paige said what we allow is what will continue. Absolutely. And there's really, like, I'm just being realistic. There's no immediate end in sight because people are too obsessed with Donald Trump. Like, the people who hate Donald Trump are annoying, but the people who are obsessed with him are just as complicit in why this is not going to be fixed anytime soon. Like, people got to detach their like emotion from him and just logically look at the situation and use their leverage to hold him accountable the same way as the left. They can't do that. Like, and honestly, I hope he win. Like, everything is lining up for him to win when it comes to like the economy and like the border. But like, he's just posting memes of himself with Elvis. Like, I don't know, like RFK is posting things. Everybody's like, Elon's trying. I don't know what Trump's doing, if he's just going like the Joe Biden route of just like, kind of laying low and hoping that he just gets enough votes. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. Someone said, I haven't seen your videos in a long time and I see it today. You're right. Yeah. And the more like, it's been a long fork in the road since COVID because, and honestly, I don't really care what people say. I've been right the whole time. During COVID, people split into two sides. You had people that were critically thinking and doing reporting based on literally what was happening. And then you had obviously people following Fauci, but then you had just people that are just Trump ball lickers and they just said whatever he said and made excuse. Like, their job is just like a PR team for him. They're not critically thinking. They're not putting out good reporting. They're not like the situation at hand. And it's been 4 years of that. So it's like, I'm so far away from these people because they're 4 years of like mind numbing drool content that is like brainwashing the Republican base. Like most people can't think straight. Like it's like cat turd content, as I call it. It's like lowering people's IQ, so they literally can't think straight. Someone said my favorite video of yours is when you covered the NASA stuff with the NASA helmet. That helmet's been good to me. Love the manure spray on government buildings. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's gross if true. Let me see. I can't accept memberships. Tech issue won't allow it. That's fine. I'm trying to read a few comments. Someone said Trump's 4-year legal immigrant crossing 4 million was nearly twice the pace of Obama. Obama's 8 years, 5 million. Trump 4 would be 8 mil more than Obama. Well, that's the thing with the border, too. It's like Trump deported less people than Obama. The border wasn't secure under Trump, but it was more secure than Biden. So that's how like the slippery slope goes. I call it the Overton window. It's a concept that most people apparently are not smart enough to figure out, which is why nothing literally ever changes. But it's like, okay, the border under Obama, no one really talked about that much. And then under Trump, they started just sending caravans and stuff and making like overwhelming Trump. Like even though Trump won, they overwhelmed him. I'm not saying it's completely his fault, but they're just pushing it further and further. And then it's like Biden gets in and then they just flood the border times 10. Like they just keep going in the same direction. The Republicans are going, you know, the analogy that people always say is like Republicans are going in that direction like at 30 miles per hour and the Democrats are going at that direction by 60 miles an hour. But apparently the voter base is not smart enough to realize that you're still going in that direction. Like if I say that we're going in the wrong direction, people take it as a direct threat to their personality because they like Trump so much. They don't understand the process of it. It's like if Obama prints a lot of money and Trump prints a lot of money and then Biden prints more money, you're going the wrong way. You got to go the other way. The only way to stop the swamp is to go the other way. But Republicans aren't even trying to go the other way. They're just putting on an act. They're like controlled opposition idiots, you know, and they all are except for Thomas Massie, and he has no power at all, so it doesn't matter. And like the solution is to figure out that this is happening, but you can't figure it out because they're always stirring up some sort of controversy or drama so people can't see this. Like for example, for 2 years from 2020 to 2022, I'm trying to explain something to people about COVID and lockdowns and how they're scamming us and both parties are in on it. And most people don't want to hear that because they like Trump so much. And then they're January 6th and Mike Lindell, and there's always some circus. For 3 months in 2022 to 2023, the drama of Trump subsided and people saw him for what he really was. And you started seeing Tim Pool and all of these influencers that are on his dick now. They were tweeting, his time is done. He's old now. He seems jealous. He's not making any sense anymore. And that's what happens when the water's still. You see it for what it is. And you're like, this guy's not really a great leader. He's better than Biden, but he's not that good. But then the Alvin Bragg arrest creates this new revenge thing. And now it's like today he got arrested or the courts did this. They create this drama in order to just run people's, like, you know, they keep you just constantly running in circles because the second you stop running, you'll realize Trump for who he really is and the Republican Party for what it really is, which is controlled opposition. But as long as there's a story that gets you going, then you'll never figure that out. It's like these, right-wing accounts on Instagram where they're always just posting the crazy left. Like the left is crazy. You don't need to watch 50,000 videos of transgender basketball players. Like it's crazy to do trans sports. The left is insane. It's not right. And you have every right to disagree with it. But how much content do you need to consume that shows you the same thing over and over? It's programming you to only see that. So then you're like, that's crazy, which it is. But what you don't realize is that's allowing people like Ted Cruz and Trump to also do crazy stuff because you're not paying attention. Ted Cruz is the ultimate sellout scammer and no one cares. You know, he was for vaccine segregation on airplanes and allowing vaccinated people to take their mask off and making unvaccinated people wear it. He's a piece of shit. You know, but nobody will say that because they all make money together. The donors, the lobbyists, Charlie Kirk, Ted Cruz, Turning Point. It's one big little scam party. And then they cry on stage for 3 years and say, oh, Donald Trump got spied on with the FISA warrants. Lauren Boebert, I like her, met her, cool, but she voted for it. Ted Cruz, don't like him. He voted for it. How are you going to complain about the FISA warrantless spying program on Trump when you vote to keep it in place? You know, they shouldn't be spying on anybody without a warrant, in my opinion. But then they say they're freedom and liberty. Like Ted Cruz is a piece of shit. They're all controlled opposition, but you never realize it because they're always putting on a show for you and looking at the left. It's like the solution is literally to figure this stuff out, but no one wants to do that. That's why I feel like Cat Turd and Benny Johnson, they're worse than liberals. They're like conservatives that literally just lower your IQ by 10 to 20 points and put you on this goofy loop that never ends because they're just, putting out like low tier, low brow opinions about like basics of, oh, a court case bad. Oh, Trump. It's like dumb down. It's the same way as like the left when they say like 1 + 1 is 3, or like they try to do that weird math where it's not real math, whatever it's called, like Common Core or something. It's like they're trying to make you dumber and make it harder for you, That's like the right-wing version of it. So, I mean, I'm sure they're nice people, but, people are figuring this stuff out, though. I know in some ways, I complain because a lot of people don't get it, but people are starting to get it. It's just there's always like a trick to get you back in the box. It's like, okay, come back here. Like, like the second people start running away, and you could see, I know it's like a tribal thing or something where like people they want to hang out with the boys. So it's like in the Republican world, they're just trying to like bro out, it's just like, let's let the boys be boys and like, let's just have fun. It sucks having to like confront your own political party on stuff. So nobody does it. The two things that you could look at that nobody asked, I would have interviewed Trump. I interviewed Vivek. God bless him for showing up. That was cool. But, and look what the media did to me after that. They wrote like 50 articles calling me anti-Semitic. Keep in mind, I didn't even talk about Israel or anything Jewish in that whole interview. And they literally wrote like 30 articles calling me anti-Semitic. If that doesn't tell you what's going on, why did they do it? Because I know that the Republican Party is passing speech laws through Congress, and they're getting a fortune to do it. Just like Speaker Johnson got $95,000 from a lobbyist group, and then he wants to send $15 billion to that country. It's obvious what's going on. These people are being paid off, but you have Benny Johnson there like, based, Chad. It's like, shut up, you scammer. But in general, look at Trump or DeSantis or any of them. Name one person that gave them an interview and asked, why are you passing hate speech laws through Congress? Why are you passing hate speech laws through government? Why is nobody asking them these questions? How come? Not a single one of them. Trump passed it. Kemp passed it. Youngkin, it was the first thing he did. Do people not realize what's going on? Could it not be more obvious? One of the first bills that Youngkin passed when he got into Virginia, good governor besides this, but he passed a hate speech law defining what hate speech is for one race and one religion in one foreign country. Why would an American governor pass a hate speech law for a foreign country as the first thing they did? What's the first thing that Speaker Johnson did when he got in office? Who are his biggest lobbyists? He said he wanted to give money to a foreign country before he even said anything about our country. It's the first thing he did. Why did Donald Trump pass the same executive order? Why has DeSantis passed it 3 times? Why did Governor Kemp pass it? Why is everybody doing it except for Thomas Massie? Why is nobody asking any questions? Why are no right-wing journalists talking about it? Why won't they ask them in an interview? It's like one big cover-up show. It's so obvious. And I know it's like scary to think that. It's like, what? Everybody's lying to me? It's like, I guess, or they're stupid. I don't know. Or they're making an active decision to not talk about it. I don't know why it's going on. Someone mentioned Candace. I'm biased because I like Candace. I like Candace as a friend, but honestly, unbiasedly too, because I am slightly biased in this category, and I'm just being honest about it because I like Candace. But in my view, she gave Trump the first decent interview where she asked him questions that mattered about the vaccine and Julian Assange. And if you watch my video with Candace, she says that Trump got pissed at her after that. Like, Trump gets pissed at you if you ask him questions. He only likes you if you suck up to him. He's like, Tim Scott likes me. Tim Scott is Mike Pence. Tim Scott is Nikki Haley. Tim Scott is Mitch McConnell. It doesn't. Who cares if he's nice to you? They're all nice to you because they know you're so easy to flatter and run circles around. But it's like, that's why nobody asks any real questions. If you ask any questions to Trump about this stuff, even remotely, he gets pissed at you. So if you gave Trump a real interview, are you kidding me? He'd probably blacklist you and everybody would shit on you. Like, no one's allowed to ask real questions, And if you ask any of these questions, the media, not the left-wing media, also the right-wing media, everyone in unison will call you anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic to defend the First Amendment. It's anti-Semitic to believe that hate speech laws are unconstitutional. It's anti-Semitic to say that, Republicans are getting paid off. It's anti-Semitic to, not want to give hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign country. All of that is anti-Semitism. And it's not just anti-Semitism in their heads. They're passing it through law. It's a law now. Trump passed it. DeSantis passed it. Kemp passed it. Youngkin passed it. They're all passing it and no one's talking about it. So in 5 years, they'll probably try to arrest people like they do in Europe. And no one cares. The Republicans suck. Trump sucks. DeSantis even sucks. They all suck. They're all phonies. But it's not their fault if you don't notice it. And nobody cares because Crowder's not going to talk about it. Benny Goofball's not going to talk about it. Sebastian Dorca's not going to talk about it. Tim, I have, poop in my beanie's not going to talk about it. None of them are going to talk about it. Matt Walsh is not going to talk about it. He's like, transgenders and black people. Yeah, you could talk about that because if you talk about who's getting the reparations right now, then your boss will probably be pissed at you. So it's like, it's all just one big clown show designed to run you in circles, It is what it is. If I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do it right, or else I'm not going to do it at all. So I got a couple more years left in me. If people want to figure this stuff out, they can. If not, I'm going to ride off into the sunset and do something else. Because if Americans want to act like animals and sheep, then, you're going to get rounded up like them. So figure it out. Someone said, dude, DeSantis's law makes crimes a federal crime. It doesn't suppress speech. I've read the law. It's creating hate speech rules. He's passed it 3 times. Okay. You're not gonna weasel your way out of this one and defend DeSantis because I know more than you about it. He's passed anti-Semitism laws 3 times. 1 time for schools, 1 time for I would say littering, hyping up the charges, and then 1 time defining anti-Semitism officially in the state of Florida. What's the official definition of anti-Semitism? Go look it up. There's 11 things that are now hate speech laws. It's on the State Department website. It says you can't talk about banking or media control. You can't say that a certain group of people killed Jesus. You can't talk about blood libel. You can't say that, people in America have loyalty to Israel. You can't criticize Israel more than another democratic nation. These are hate speech laws being passed into legislation, you dumbass. So that it was passed 3 different times. 1 for the official definition, 1 time in schools, and 1 time to hype up littering charges and make it some sort of felony, or like you said, possibly a federal crime. For 1 religion, 1 race, and 1 country. Hate speech rules. That's what it is. And they're weaseling it into different ways of charging people for it. And it starts off small, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You can't read the Bible. I mean, technically, if you read a verse in the Bible, that's anti-Semitism according to the law that Republicans are passing. You're not allowed to say these things, And if you post a flyer and say vote for Republicans and put it on someone's car, it's nothing. If you write a part of the Bible and put it on someone's car, they could throw you in prison now. That's what DeSantis is doing. So, the cover up is, oh, it's just this, it's just that. Okay, well, why don't those laws apply to every religion? Is this country a religiously free country, or is it a country that passes hate speech laws for only 1 religion and a group of people that majority aren't even religious? It's not just a religious law. It's a foreign country law, and it's a race law for 1 race, not for you, not for everyone. It's not equally applied. And then these idiots in the comment section will be like, oh, it's just this. Yeah, that's what they told you. I read it. I read all of them. I read the definition. I know what the definition is. I know where it came from. I know what year it came from. I know which group passed it. And I even know which country they passed it in because it's all on the State Department website under defining anti-Semitism. And if you search defining anti-Semitism on the State Department website, you could see those list of laws, and those are the exact ones that they're passing through legislation. And Republicans are in on it just like Democrats. And if you ever talk about it like I do, they smear you. Not left-wing press, quote unquote right-wing press. They start the smear, then it ends up in Israeli press, then it ends up on CNN, then it ends up everywhere because right-wing media is in on it with left-wing media. There is no difference. It's all fake. It's all stupid. It's like, oh, we'll just talk about transgenders half the time, and then we'll pass speech laws and call everybody anti-Semitic that talks about it. So that's what they do to you if you're an American citizen. They just call you an anti-Semite for noticing this. So that's why no one talks about it, to be honest. They're probably afraid. They're probably afraid of getting smeared. They know if they just make fun of the left all the time that it'll just be like the normal smear attempts, but they know if they make some fun of the right, Ben Shapiro will be shrieking at them and there'll be 50 articles trying to ruin their life. And these people are insane. They never stop. They just literally just try to harass you all the time. It's nuts. Someone said, "What, we get it. What are you going to do?" I'm going to use my First Amendment to speak the truth about it. I believe that the First Amendment doesn't say that they should pass and hype up hate speech rules for one race, one religion, and one foreign country. That's not American. That's not constitutional. I don't even think it should stand up in. I think the Supreme Court should look at it, but they probably won't either, because who knows if they even care. But I don't believe it's just like Trump's bump stock ban. That's being looked at by the Supreme Court now. I don't even think it stands up. But the thing is, all this stuff, what am I going to do? I'm going to do my job. What are you going to do? Why are you being a weirdo? I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to talk about it. And if the American people are too stupid to figure it out, then I'm going to eventually stop talking about it, and I'm going to go do something else, because there's no point in talking to a bunch of sheeple that don't want to hear this stuff. It's like, and then they'll find some stupid Republican liar or Vivek character that tells them that they deserve all these things in 1776 or whatever, and and they'll go follow them off into the sunset, and I don't care. Someone said, just because DeSantis signed the Florida bill in Israel doesn't change the fact that he only has the authority to sign Florida bills in Florida that Florida legislature passed. Yeah, I don't know. I know he signed it in that country, but I don't know if that's true or not. Someone said, it's such a relief to hear someone say these things. It's 100% true. And the thing is, I used to think that people didn't know about this stuff, but guys, if they've been doing politics for 6 years, like, you think Michael Knowles doesn't know about this stuff? No, he's an idiot. Michael Knowles knows. He just knows that he'll probably lose his job or get in trouble for talking about it. So he just talks about transgenders all the time. Like, everybody knows about this stuff, guys. They're not stupid. They know how politics works. They see how the Republican Party works. They're just not telling you for whatever reason. Some of them, they literally like it. I mean, once the war broke out, you saw people like Dave Rubin. He started cheering when protests were canceled in France. Literally, his entire persona was built around, they're not letting me speak on college campuses. They're not letting Ben Shapiro speak on college campuses. Isn't that why Dave Rubin got famous in the first place? And then he's trying to cancel protests under the same guise in other countries and use the same exaggerations. Everything they said about Shapiro and Dave Rubin, he's now saying about protesters, and he's happy that Macron is outlawing protests. They would do that here. Dave Rubin would be happy if it happened here. His entire persona is a lie. He's a phony. Shapiro's a phony. They're all phonies, And then everybody realized what a phony he was. So then he just went back to making left-wing content. Look at the left. He posted about that 4 times. He got ratioed. Everybody said, you're a hypocrite. You're a phony. That's anti-First Amendment. What are you talking about? And then he's like, oh, let me just make basic content about the left. And then everybody will forget about this, which they did. People have short memories. Someone said, let me see. Someone said Bill Maher. Don't know much about him besides the clips I see on Twitter. I saw that Toby Keith passed away. That's sad. He's a legend. I like me some Toby Keith for sure. 2 weeks to flatten your memory, someone said. Yeah, pretty much. All right. I stayed a little long, but I'll answer a few more if you guys have any comments. To me, it's like I'm at the point now, and I appreciate people for being here and listening and considering, how people are breaking down politics. It means nothing to me anymore, because it's like constant circular drama around nothing that never gets to the root of what's really going on. So, I have to do it this way. It's interesting to me. It's the only thing I really know how to do. I'll keep making the videos like I made about income tax. Most people get it. It's definitely popular. It's not like I like to look at people that leave annoying comments, but really most people get it. Most people are sharing it. Thousands of people do enjoy it. And I'm just going to ignore the people who don't, because I do think that the numbers are growing, and they always will. If you say build a wall in 1995, everybody looks at you crazy. But, 30 years later, it's everybody's like, nah, he was right. Build a wall, or Ron Paul. Ron Paul was talking about all this stuff 20 years ago. He's probably more popular than he is now, because what he said was true before what people realized that it was true. So, I'll keep doing my thing. I'm not going to really sweat it, but do a parody Shapiro rap? Absolutely not. But it is interesting that gimmicky rap kind of works. I had a whole stream about this, so I don't want to get into it too much, but either you're reacting to something or you're creating the thing that everyone's reacting to. But the thing is, being the center of attention is not always a good thing. Like, it depends how much attention you want. Like, because everybody will react to this, react to that, react to this. But if people are reacting to you, it's a heavy burden, regardless of whether what you did is good or bad, because everyone's got an opinion. And it's like, do you want the whole world talking about you? Some people would be like, for sure. Others would be like, I don't know, that's a little much, it's a little much. Thank you, Nurse Becky. I appreciate you. Someone said, meet my twin sister. What? You're kind of freaking me out. I don't know. I don't know what that guy was. I'm not reading that one. I was kind of getting weird. Someone said, this is also insane. I remember leading up to the 2020 election, all these YouTube Christians were saying Trump would win without a doubt when they lost, and they said God is using Trump. I mean, God works in mysterious ways, but a lot of like these Christian like Trump guys are like super cringe, they'll be like, I had a dream. Jesus talked to me yesterday. Jesus talked to me and he told me. And it's like, did Jesus really talk to you yesterday? Because if he did, talk about it. But if he didn't, I'm pretty sure the Bible speaks very harshly on false prophets, like you're not supposed to like lie about getting a message from Jesus. But I think the problem is nowadays, some Christians, they're like not getting enough attention. So they like lie about prophecy to get attention. Because if they're just talking, no one gives a shit. But if they're like, Jesus told me to say that, people are like, really? Which is like super gross. Like you shouldn't I don't ever say like Jesus told me this or Jesus told me that. Because if I'm going to say that, I got to be like really serious about it. Like, eventually I hope like one day, like a message will really hit me hard and I'll let you guys know. But until then, I'm not going to like lie about it in order to get like more attention. They'll be like, Jesus told me to endorse DeSantis, and then Jesus told me to endorse Trump. It's like, did he though? Did he really? Like, maybe he did. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm just saying, like, did he say that to you? Did he tell you to do that for sure? Are you sure he did that? Or are you just saying that? I don't, you never know. But like some of these like pastors, they definitely like, I think they are starting to kind of idol worship Trump. So like he has to play into like every equation, like they got to like figure out who he is. They'll be like, he's this character. Like he could be Samson, but he also could be like Antichrist. I'm not saying he is, but it's like, they always want to like pick, they're like, he's a flawed guy who's doing this. It's like, okay, he could be, he absolutely could be that, or he could be like a bad character. He could be a deceitful character. There's a lot of characters in the Bible that are, none of them are him, they're all who they were. And he's his own person that maybe could, like, I'm not Samson, or like, it's kind of like, it's like if I just like keep sinning all the time and I'm like, I'm the character who, sinned, but God used. It's like, or you're not though, or you're just messing up and you don't want to fix it. Like, it's like everybody's got to tell themselves something. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be one of the characters that's like, I hope, like, my goal is to get my act right and not mess up a lot, not like make excuses for it by saying I'm the guy that he's using. It's like, I mean, I hope I'm being used for the positive, but Jack B said, thank me for gifting you 20 subs, you psycho. 20, what, you gave me 20 subscriptions? Thank me for gifting 20 subs, you psycho. Thank you, Jack B, for whatever you did. I'm not sure, but I appreciate the super chat. I'm like a prostitute for super chat. I have to say whatever people write. Let me see. Someone said Neuralinked. Hopefully not. Someone said Trump is the Judas goat. Seems that way. Some MAGA thinks he's Jesus. Did you guys see, what's his name? John Voight. He's like, Trump is Jesus. And you're like, let me try to find the Trump is Jesus thing. I'll play it real quick if I could load it. Trump, Jesus, Voight. I mean, he didn't say that Trump was Jesus, but he kind of like implied that, he kind of like implied that Trump was kind of like Jesus or something. Like, this is the type of stuff, like, listen, I love boomers, but they got to chill with like the Trump Jesus stuff, because it's getting kind of weird. They're like, Jesus told me to Trump. It's like, maybe. Here, I'm gonna find it real quick. All right, sorry. Hopefully it doesn't freeze, but I found the video. Let me see. Don't freeze. Don't freeze. Come on. Keep it flowing. The browser. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. If I'm still here, I got it. Here's the John Voight video. Like, I haven't seen it in a while, but I watched it and I was kind of like, it's kind of suspect.
Believe that the man that can help this nation, the one man that was ridiculed, destroyed as Jesus, Trump, can come back and save the American dream for all and make America great with the dignity, with the power of who she is, the land of freedom, God's land, God's glory, the USA.
Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. I think I'm back now. All right. He was saying the one guy that was persecuted like Jesus or something. And it's like, I don't know. It's like if I get persecuted at like Starbucks and like the barista yells at me, I don't go home and I'm like, they hated Jesus and they hate me. It's like, I guess. Yeah, sort of. Dude, the boomers love Trump. It's insane. Am I stoned? No, I'm not. Just like slightly sick. I think I'm all right though. I'm here. I believe I'm manifesting perfect health. I feel like $1 million or whatever. All right, let me see. People are fighting with each other in the chat. Usually that's a good sign for me to like leave when people start yelling at each other. Someone said, Jack, shut your mouth. I don't know what he even said, but whatever. What if it turns out he's Jesus and you just don't know? There's a song about like, what if he's an angel sent here from heaven? Anything's possible, I guess. Oh, are you talking about? I don't know who's talking about what. Cold C said, don't read this anomaly. It's too late. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Someone said boomers talk like they're narrating a documentary. I mean, John Voight's he's a seasoned actor. The guy knows how to talk. He's like, what if God's glory? It's like Trump spent a bunch of money like spreading homosexuality in like Africa. It's like, I don't know that God wants that to happen, but it's like they don't even care like what he does. They just think he's like God. Where like if Trump does something completely ungodly, they'll be like, Jesus is using him to sell vaccines. Jesus wants him to say it was a great. It's like, no, he doesn't though. Like that, he absolutely does not want that. I don't think, but maybe Jesus wants Trump to give $18 billion to the pharmaceutical industry and rush a vaccine to the public that everyone's going to eventually be forced to. Like, why would Jesus want that? But like these people don't care. They like idolize him. It's very demonic to do the idol worship. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to call a spade a spade. You're not supposed to be like, I love him. And it's like, all right, well, he gave 20 memberships away. I don't know what you're talking about, but like, why do people keep what you did? You subscribed or something? I appreciate it. I don't know. Thank you if you did that. Thank you, Jack, if you did that. I don't know if it's even true, but if you did, thanks. Someone said if Trump actually believed in God, he would have a chance to be good. Thank you, Jay Case. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. You're the man. There's a really good, I played it before, but if you could find it somewhere, it's Trump talking to, what's that guy's name? He's like the weird like pollster guy. What's the weird pollster? Oh, Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz asked Trump if about being Christian, and Trump's answer was like so funny. That's like one of the most revealing things to me. Listen, nobody's perfect. Everybody has flaws, but he was like, so Trump, like, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? And Trump was like, listen, I go to church. It's a really good church. He's like, wow, that pastor, he talks and I really like it and it's really powerful. the power of the mind and the spirit. He's like, I love it. And then he's like, okay, but have you ever asked God for forgiveness? And he's like, no, I don't believe I have. I don't think of God in that way. It's like, okay, it was just like a funny moment. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? No, I don't think about God in that way. Okay, possibly. Because I think if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, then you don't ask God for forgiveness. But if you think you're literally God, then you don't think about it that way. And I think with like even how he talked about, I played it yesterday, but like how he's talking about Tim Scott, like it's just like it's so goofy where I'm like, why are these the only two options? But it is what it is. I'm not really going to complain too much, or I'm going to complain every day. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But he's like, Tim Scott, he says nice things about me. He defends me. He supports me. Wow. He likes me more than he likes him. He likes me. It's like, you shouldn't trust a man who likes you more than they like themselves. That's a red flag. But also it's like, I don't think Tim Scott, Tim Scott knows that that's the play to make. Like Trump leads the Republican Party. Trump's the front runner. You just suck up to Trump like you'd suck up to Mitch McConnell. It's like he does that, and Trump's like, wow, I really never expected that out of Tim Scott. He's a tiger. Ooh, look at Tim the Tiger Scott. Rare, rare. Look at you, Tiger. And Tim Scott's like, yeah, I mean, whatever I got to do to make money out here, I don't know. Tim Scott doesn't talk like that. Now he has a wife all of a sudden, allegedly. Lindsey Graham has a wife too. His wife sits at Boeing. It's just a missile. He drew some boobies on a missile and he calls it Misselina. He's like, ooh, Misselina, I love dropping bombs. And they're like, Lindsey, you've been in the bomb chamber for 30 minutes now. It was only supposed to be a minute tour. And he's like, don't tell anybody about this. Lindsey Graham loves missiles. He's sexually attracted to bombing little kids in foreign countries. It's disgusting, but that's his thing. Someone said, rationalize and justify supporting the NFL, you effing fuzz. No, I'm not going to rationalize it because I don't buy merch or anything, but I will watch the Super Bowl. I know I probably shouldn't, but I will. And I'm going to eat food. Sorry. I'm not rationalizing it. It's like if I like drink alcohol at night and you're like, rationalize this. And you're like, it's not right, but I'm going to do it. That's how I feel about the NFL. I'm not sitting here to rationalize it, but I will watch the Super Bowl. Lindsey Graham is married to, I'm not going to read that. Listen, hey, this is a respectful show. Not really, but I try, sort of. Am I drinking coffee at this time? Yeah, I have a caffeine issue. I don't know. I just got to work. And I mean, to be fair, when I started the show, it was like 5:00. So, I just lost track of time. All right. I appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I could stick around for a while, but I'm going to try to do some other stuff tonight. Thanks for being here. And, I apologize if certain things come off pessimistic, but I really think people need to figure out what's going on and just stand firmly and speak the truth about it. Like, I'm going to go on a little tangent before I leave. We had 3 years of COVID. Like we had 3 years to ask Trump real questions. We had 3 years to ask DeSantis real questions. We had 3 years to like really challenge our side. And what I saw was really no one doing any of that. For whatever reason, the primary turned into like this weird cat fight where just like I read a comment and someone was like, once DeSantis put on the shoes, it was over. And it's like, listen, I'm not making excuses for DeSantis's little goofy boots or whatever, but like, that's as dumb as being like Trump wears bronzer and paints his face orange, or he like tans. So like, I can't vote for Trump because his face looks orange. Like that's as stupid as saying like DeSantis's boots is why the whole thing went downhill. It's like, so like that whole primary turned into this like goofy cat fight where it's like, you should have been loyal to Trump like me. And like, no one asked good questions. No one challenged their side. It turned into like this like false paradigm, weird emotional fight between the two supporters. And now we have Trump versus Biden, and like no issues were really addressed. Like the only thing I could hear from people is like, he learned his lesson. And it's like, I'm gonna read the super chat real quick. Someone said, Rasa Ideal Tendency said, some people have battle axe wives, but Lindsey's wife is a missile. Appreciate you. Yeah, his wife's a missile. All right. Like his wife is like literally a missile. You know, it's not a metaphor. It's like an actual missile that kills people. But no, it's like everyone just assumes that everything's going to work out. It's so weird where I'm like, what if why do you think he's learned his lesson? It's like, because you want, I got to go on the want rant again. Just because you want something doesn't mean you deserve it. This includes me too. You want Trump to have learned his lesson. So you think he learned his lesson because you want that to be true. You want to believe that Trump made a mistake. You want to believe that Trump didn't sell out. You want to believe that Trump listened to the wrong advisors. And that's the narrative you want to believe. But there's hundreds of pieces of evidence that prove that he didn't make a mistake. He sold out. He hired 100% of the swamp because he took the money. He hasn't learned. He hasn't changed. If you listen to his interviews, he's not different at all. He's worse than he was in 2018. He's more self-centered. He's more egotistical. He's more easy to trick. He's the only Republican that hasn't admitted that he made a mistake with Operation Warp Speed. Like, there's no signs anywhere that proves that he's learned his lesson. None at all. You know, the only people close to him are people that suck up to him. You might get someone good near him because they suck up to Trump, but it's not because he's good. It's just because Trump just views everyone through the lens of like, how much do you flatter me, instead of being like, oh, are you actually good for the job? So I feel like eventually this whole little fake illusion is going to come crashing down. And then the question is going to be, will conservatives and Republicans, will they face reality finally, or will they keep fantasy cosplaying? Because whether he wins or loses, like, it doesn't matter that much. Like, I know the wall might be built or whatever, but it's like a lot of these problems that are facing, there's a deep-seated reason. And in some ways, like, I want Trump to win because the border will be somewhat fixed, at least more than Biden. And he would look like an idiot if he didn't do something about that. I feel like that's the one thing that he like has to do. So I hope he wins in many ways, because Trump will fix the border. In some ways, if he wins, it's like now Republicans will just kind of like sit there and look into space and make excuses. Like, when Biden does corrupt stuff, everyone's on his ass. When Mitt Romney does stuff, everyone's on his ass. When Trump, it's the weirdest thing, like with DeSantis and Trump. I hate to bring this up again, but this is like my one takeaway from the whole primary. They would say all these things about DeSantis that were true. And some of them weren't true, but a lot of them were true. But then it's like, if you could prove that Trump did the same things, they would spiral and get mad at you. It's like, well, he took donor money. Well, Trump also took donor money. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Like, I'd have this conversation with like so many people. They'd say, I can't trust DeSantis because he took hundreds of millions of dollars from donors, or tens of millions of dollars from donors. And I say, well, you know, Trump also took hundreds of millions of dollars from mega donors and corporations also. And they go, no, he didn't. So first, it's the stage is like denial. It's like he never took any money. And then I'd bring up the articles, and then I'd be like, look, he did take hundreds of millions of dollars from this donor and hundreds of millions of dollars from these corporations. And they go, well, that's USA Today. I don't trust that news website. So then it's like more denial. And I go, well, it's not, USA Today is not breaking the story. The Federal Elections Commission or whoever has to, like, you have to report who you're taking money from in order to run an office. It's not the USA Today or CNN. It's like, it's just like public, transparent information. And then they accept that it's true, and they go, well, it's different. You know, he's just playing the game. So then I go, so why is Trump playing the game when he takes the donor money, but DeSantis is not playing the game? And they go, well, it's different. How's it like? It's like his worshipers are literally in like a spell that they don't understand, that they make literally no sense about anything. So that's the one thing when DeSantis was running. In many ways, even though I don't trust him at all, I was hoping he won just so people actually cared. Like, people don't like DeSantis the way they like Trump, and that's good, because in many ways, DeSantis leads better than Trump, but he just doesn't have that like cult-like following, which is good. It's like when DeSantis does stupid shit, everyone will notice. Vivek started talking about the speech laws against DeSantis, even though all Republicans are doing that, but he did it as a Trump talking point against DeSantis, which is fine. At least they're talking about it. But with Trump, Vivek is never going to call Trump out for that. Do you understand? It's like so crazy. So, you know, I think if Trump loses, everyone's going to face the issues, and it's going to get worse and weird. But like, there's going to be this understanding of like, no one's coming to save us. Trump is never going to be able to run again. Like, it's over. The Trump era is over. In some ways, I want him to win so he fixes the border. But in other ways, it's like this parade's going to end eventually. And you guys got to, like, after 4 years of Trump, say he goes backwards, people are just going to make excuses for him. Like if DeSantis had 4 years and he didn't get the job done and things didn't get better, people would be like, well, DeSantis is a rhino. But if Trump does it, they'll be like, his advisors, he had no chance. He had no choice. Well, if he has no choice, then he's just a puppeter. If he had no chance, then you have to finally admit what I've been saying for 8 years now, is that the system's bigger than just him. You know it's bigger than him, but you want him to be able to do something. It's like people love cosplaying and fantasizing over Trump more than they like their own country, their own family, and the truth. Because the truth is, it's like, obsessing over that is not that much different than like obsessing over Rachel Maddow. You're following a script that makes you feel good, but it's not really real. It might be more real than Rachel Maddow, but it's still not true. So I hope he wins so he can fix the border. But if he loses, like, it is what it is. Like, people need to snap out of this stuff. And if he wins, I don't know that people ever will. Like, it's going to be this like goofy loop for 4 years. So let me know what you guys think. I don't know what would really fix the issue, but if he wins and fixes the border, his supporters need to like talk to him and push him a little bit, not literally push him because then you'll get arrested, but I'm talking about like, metaphorically and like culturally push him in the right direction, because Trump is extremely susceptible to flattery. Like, this might be the best and worst thing about him. He'll fall for like, he would rather hire a communist who says his suit looks nice than Ron Paul or Thomas Massey who challenges him. Like, that's who Trump is. He doesn't care about politics. He doesn't care about God. He doesn't care about the country. He cares about him and who wants to hang out with him. So it's like, you could use your leverage and let Trump know that you're not going to flatter him unless he does the right thing. But now he looks at the situation and thinks, my supporters are like, he's like, my supporters are sheep. They'll never question me. That they don't care. They'll let me do whatever. I have complete control over them. I'll please these people. I'll please my donors. I'll please the military industrial complex. Like, Trump will cut deals with these people because he doesn't respect you, because you're not respectable. He doesn't look at you like, oh, my supporters really will hold me to the fire. They're like, he's like, my supporters are literally just a bunch of like fans, like, I don't need to stop. But if his base actually said, hey, we're not going to do this unless you do this, you have to do this, then he'd probably do it. But he controls what you even want to do. Like, if you look at the top 5 agenda of MAGA, the first 3 are like things that have to do with Trump's personal life, where it's like, we want this. And it's like, and then you get to like border and economy, but it's like, he controls the narrative of what you even want in the first place. So then it's like, what you want is what he wants. It's like, someone said you have TDS. Bro, you're so dumb. It's so stupid. It's like, someone said TDS is great, ethical. I love TDS. You're a fan. I get it. It's like Trump is your like Patrick Mahomes, I get it. But it's like, when things don't work out, you'll be like, oh man, the deep state got us again. I mean, we were this close to getting Nancy Pelosi. We were so close, except Trump just hired the swamp again. Oh no, it's not his fault though. Let's blame Jared Kushner for what Trump literally did. I mean, he's an independent, system breaker who never listens to anyone, yet he defers to literally everyone for everything and does nothing himself, which would make him a puppet. But I'm not going to say he's a puppet because it hurts my feelings, but I'm a grown man, MAGA. It's like, cool, bro. It's like, we get it. We get the dynamic. It's like, man, he made a mistake. Like, you hope he made a mistake, because if he didn't make a mistake, it means he's not who you think he is. Like, you want to believe he made a mistake. Like, how many mistakes did he make? Like, how many people did he hire that were good? Like 3, and he hates like 2 of them right now, including Kaylee. How many people did he hire that were horrible? All of them. It's like, that's a mistake. It's not a mistake. He's doing what politicians do. Obama didn't make a mistake. He just did politics. Trump didn't make a mistake. He played politics. He's a politician, And the reason that they get away with so much is because you like them too much. If you actually like all of these things, I know I've said this so many times, but it's such an obvious example. If you would have put Mitt Romney or Hillary Clinton or John McCain or anybody in as president during COVID, the perception would have been completely different. You never would have said Operation Warp Speed is fine because he didn't mandate it. You'd say mandates are bad and Operation Warp Speed was corrupt. And both of them were like 2 wings of the same bird. They hit you with the left and they hit you with the right. The only reason that all these Trump slobbering influencers make excuses for this is because Trump did it. All you have to do is look at DeSantis versus Trump. That's all you have to do. They'd be like, well, DeSantis is close to the Bush family. Trump hired over 100 Bush guys. Like, you could look it up in his administration with all the jobs. I think he hired over 50 or over 100. So DeSantis is close to Bush, but Trump hires Bush people, but that's okay. Well, it's different. Why is it different? Like, why? Because he's just playing the game. Well, why is DeSantis not playing the game? Well, because he's not. It's like no one actually cares about anything with Trump. The right is like lost their mind over the guy. It's, you're almost better off with a normie Republican that just hires good judges, that doesn't do crap, that people can identify that he's not doing anything. Because, I have a theory about this too. I'm not sure about it, but the truthers are making so much progress. So many people are learning so much. They're getting closer to the truth. Like the truther movement, the conservative movement, the patriot movement, it's way bigger now than it probably was 10 years ago. So they have to funnel you back into something like, here's your guy. And I suspect, maybe he's just really good at branding, but when it comes to like Vivek, it's like truth, 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 truth. He puts that symbol everywhere. That was his little campaign slogan. So now a hedge fund guy who was a pharmaceutical CEO who cried on January 6th and had, interviews selling a failed Alzheimer's drug on, what's his name? Mad Money with whatever that weirdo's name is, the guy who looks like a pimple. It's like now he's the top truther, right? Not all these people that have been here for 30 years or the people who were right during COVID. You get a hedge fund guy who's a pharma CEO who cried on January 6th, who now he'll tell you what the deep state is. He'll tell you what's going on. He'll tell you what's going on with the FBI. It's like, okay, but like, it's not that I care. Like, I'd rather listen to someone else, but I just don't think he deserves that position. Like, he deserves it. Jim Cramer. He deserves it because he ran for president and got everyone's attention. But it's like his analysis of this stuff is like half baked. It's like kind of good, but kind of off. He's right about a lot of stuff, but it's like, okay, the truther movement's growing. Let's put a billionaire hedge fund pharma guy who cried on January 6th as the top truther. Now he'll dominate the truth, Oh, Ron Paul, Tea Party, that's growing. Here's a liberal from, New York who donated $100,000 to Hillary Clinton, who gave her a standing ovation, who hired the pharmaceutical lobby. He'll fight the deep state, even though he hired them and just ran rampant with the pharmaceutical industry. But nobody will talk about it because they like him so much. Like, he's a fascinating, thank you, Lakiba. He even like the further right who knows a lot of this stuff and is like far right or whatever, and they're even more critical of the Republican Party. Even they play stupid with Donald Trump. Like, they're all like, oh, this is so corrupt, and both parties are in on it. But with Trump, they turn their brain off also, and they turn into like little fans. I've never seen anything like it. It's like this mass psychosis. But with all that being said, it's like, if you want a more secure border, you vote for Donald Trump. If you want the chance of deportations among the tens of millions of illegal people that Biden let in, you vote for Donald Trump. If you want a more conservative Supreme Court judge who's probably going to be a scammer, but slightly better than the Democrat Supreme Court judge, you vote for Donald Trump. You vote for Trump for these things, but then once he gets in, you watch what he does, and then you speak the truth about it if it's not right. That's like the best, I guess, solution for this stuff, but we'll see. What do you guys think? Before I leave real quick, do you think he's going to win? Like, there's a lot of trends going on. I think Gen Z's voting way more than normal. Trump doesn't have like suburban women, and I think that he's going to lose the election because of the quote unquote Karens, as they call them. But also the border is insane, and the economy sucks, and everyone remembers when they had more money in their bank account. So it's like those trends are going in Trump's direction, the border and the economy. He's not as like hated by like normal people anymore. But at the same time, the left is playing the abortion card. The left is playing, the whatever card they were playing before. And they do get more votes because they have more people here. And also they have like the younger generation on their side. What do you think? Like, personally, I see a world where Trump barely wins the election. And I see a world where Biden wins by 6 or 7%. And then in some swing states, he's winning like 5%. That used to be 50-50. Like, I don't know, though. What do you think? Someone said if the election is fair, Trump will win. I don't think so, honestly. And I don't think that's the only way Trump loses. But we'll see. Someone said he'll win if Biden's still the candidate. He'll lose against Newsom. I don't know. I hope that someone's doing something in the swing states and really trying to get the message. Because when I look at Trump, I don't see it. Like, I don't see him as the character he was like 7 years ago. He's better than Biden, but do you remember Trump that used to like talk about everything and be right all the time? Like it wasn't that long ago when Trump was right about almost everything. I'm not a Trump hater. In 2017 and 2018 and 2016, he was like on the cusp of everything. Everything that was going on, he'd have an opinion about everything, a unique opinion that made a lot of sense. Like, that's why I like Trump. I'd go on his Twitter, I'd scroll down, truth, 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 truth. He was just telling the truth. Now, go to his Instagram. He hasn't posted in 3 days. He's posting pictures of him looking like Elvis. He's saying he likes Tim Scott because Tim Scott likes him. Like, how is Trump going to win the election like this? Bobby Kennedy is running around at the border. Bobby Kennedy's talking about stuff. He's going to steal some votes. I'm not going to vote for Bobby Kennedy, but it's like, is Trump even trying? Is he even trying? Like, I don't know what he's doing or like who he's talking to or where he's communicating. I don't see it though. I don't have True Social. He's not on my Twitter feed. He's not on my Facebook feed. His Instagram, he barely posts. And when he posts, he just posts like goofy memes. Like, he's old. He's super old, you know? So back in the day, he was on Twitter, probably using it by himself. Now he's got a bunch of goofy handlers probably, you know, handling his campaign or whatever. And it's like, the border's wide open. Why is he not out there? Like, you know, like I watch an interview because I follow literally like hundreds of people who like Trump. I never see anything in my feed about him just making sense about the border. Like, Trump is the border guy. Trump is the wall guy. He's Mr. Build a Wall. Like, when you think of build a wall, you think of Trump. Why are there not clips circulating of Trump talking about this stuff? Like, where is he? Like Elon's talking about it. Robert Kennedy's talking about it. Anytime I see a video of Trump, it's some stupid thing that he's doing. Like, he's like, oh, Tim Scott likes me. I like him. Oh, they're nice to me. They, you know, it's like, what, who, like, it's like he's turned the Republican Party into a Mar-a-Lago hangout. Like, everyone just hangs out. They all want to pretend like they want to be celebrities. They all just want to ride each other's coattails and sell these stupid documentaries or whatever. And it's like, whatever, you know? And it's like, does anyone care? Is anyone trying to make convincing content? Is that like, where's his team? Elon is doing more to help Trump win than Trump's doing. Elon, go to Elon's Twitter feed, and he's making convincing arguments that Biden's insane, the border's wide open, Mark Cuban sucks. Like, you know, like all these things that Trump used to do, like he's doing more work for the GOP than anyone. And he's actually influential and is like, he's making like convincing talking points. You know, like when you read an Elon Musk tweet about it, it's not like, oh, it's like to the point where you're like, that's true. It was like Trump used to be. Trump used to be like, bang, 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 bang. And you're like, that's real. That's true. That's right. That's smarter than I could say. I'm not a selfish person. Like Trump used to do things better than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd read a tweet and I'm like, oh, that's better than I could have said, or like, that's smarter than I could have said, or damn, that was perfectly put. You know, like I used to give him praise. That's why I like Trump so much. I'm like, I look up to men who like inspire me, not like vaccine salesmen who are just like 80 years old. But someone said Elon's not running. No, I know he's not. And he's not even a Republican unless he switched registration. But I'm saying he's helping Trump and the GOP more than Trump's helping himself. Like, I don't understand the campaign that they're running unless they're just trying to milk their base dry. I've come to the conclusion, and I could be wrong, but I either think that they're purposely just imploding the Republican Party so there's no opposition and you guys are like just scrambled for the next 10 years, or he's just getting old and he's surrounded by a bunch of yes men, because that's what happens when, you know, you don't allow people to tell you the truth. Thomas Massie told him the truth. He tried to kick him out of the party. You know, you're surrounded by the goofiest, like Sebastian Dorca. Sebastian Dorca is like, oh, Tucker's a fascist. Buy my Tucker shirt. Free Tucker. Trump's the best. Buy my t-shirt. Trump, Trump, Trump. It's like, dude, Sebastian Dorca, the fact that anyone listens to that guy in any capacity is insane. You know, he got a job with Trump and now he grifts off that for the rest of his life, whatever. But, you know, like these are the type of people around Trump. Like, who's running his campaign? Why is he not posting Instagrams about, here, I'll give you an example that would literally, like, I don't want to be hired because I can't work in politics to do my job, but he should make a compilation of all the times that he was right on border security, and then make a compilation of all these other, like, you know, Mayorkas saying the border's closed and Biden saying the border's closed, and then show all the clips of the people at the border and upload that on Instagram. not a picture of you with Elvis Presley saying you look like Elvis. What the hell is that? Like, it's like, you don't look that much like Elvis, bro. Women tell me sometimes I look like Jason Momoa, but I don't think so. We just both have long hair and we're shockingly good. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, wouldn't it be kind of douchey if I just posted a picture and I'm like, do I look like Jason Momoa? And some people would be like, kind of, and other people would be like, no, not at all. Get over yourself. Like me and George Clooney, can you spot the difference? And everyone would be like, yeah, I absolutely can spot the difference. There's huge differences between you two. Like him and Elvis, like kind of, I guess, like not much though. He doesn't look that much like Elvis. Like, why is that the post? Like that's a post that makes people that like him like laugh, and people that don't like him hate it. Like, do you think women who think he's an egotistical scumbag are going to look at him comparing himself to Elvis and be like, oh yeah, that's what I need? But if you're like, dude, the border is wide open, I was right about it, they were wrong about it, they're lying about it, like that could convince some people. No, like he has no one near him that can make good content. He's got a lot of good old quotes. Like he hasn't said anything good in the last 5 years, but if you go back to like 2018, he's got a lot of bangers. Like someone said you look nothing like that. Well, it's like when you have long hair, people just say you look like someone with long hair. People do it to black people a lot too. They just say they look like other black people when they don't. If you're black and you're watching this, it's true. Like your friend will come up to me and they're like, yo, you kind of look like LeBron James. And like, you look nothing like LeBron James. Or they'll be like, yo, you look like Rampage Jackson. You're like, no, I don't. For some reason, people just, like if you're black, they just say you look like everyone black. And if you have long hair, they'll just like compare you to like other people with long hair. They're like, you look like that guy with the, it's like, no, I don't. My face looks nothing like that guy. It's just like, we just both have similar hairstyles, but we don't look like each other. Like someone will come up to someone black on the basketball court. They'll be like, you look like Martin Luther King Jr. And they're like, no, I definitely don't look like that at all. And they'll be like, oh, I just thought you did. And it's like, okay. Someone said it's a fact. Or Denzel. Yeah. I mean, sometimes people do look like people, but other times they don't. Like Trump Elvis is a stretch. It's funny, but it's also like, bro, Bobby Kennedy's stealing your thunder, dude. Bobby Kennedy is going to steal this election from you. He's at the border. I'm sharing Bobby Kennedy things and I don't even like him that much. It's just like, he's right about that. Say something real. Don't be like Bud Light. It's like, who cares, bro? We get it. You got stock. I did not look like Fabio. Stop. But yeah, that's what people would say. Someone say you look like another black guy with dreadlocks. Yeah, if you have dreadlocks, they're like, dude, you look like a Rasta. You look like Bob Marley. You're like, nah, I don't. But okay. They're like, you look like Kel or Keenan or Kel. You look like one of them. Just one of those guys. You're like, all right. It's pretty. Jamie Foxx looks a lot like Jamie Foxx. What? I don't get what you're saying. Who am I voting for today, right now? If the election were today, I'm voting all Republican locally and doing my research. And nationally, I'm either voting for Trump or leaving my vote blank. If I lived in Pennsylvania or something where it mattered, I would probably vote for Trump. But in California, Biden's going to win by like 10 to 15 points. But I don't know. Trump is disgusting to me. I get Antichrist vibes from his whole audience now. They're like, he's Jesus and vaccine sales are okay when they're not mandated. And, it's like, it's okay that he says that a foreign country should own Congress. It's like, why would I want to vote for someone that says a foreign country should own Congress? But I'll probably vote for Trump. I don't know. I got to see the debate. And like, basically it's February. Inspire me. Trump, do something interesting. Do something that makes me want to go write your name on a paper. I would suggest you vote for Trump over Biden if you want border security, but if I don't live in a state where it matters, and I don't really feel like writing his name down at this point. And to be honest, I mean, we'll see what happens. Give me like 5 months. Go on stage and debate Biden and inspire me. Say something real. If it's Biden and Trump arguing over vaccines, they'll be like, I did the vaccine. No, I did the vaccine. Listen, I did the vaccine. I'm the father. No, come on, Jack. I'm the vaccine guy. No, it's me. I did it. I rushed it. I'm a hero. Oh, no. I let the people out of the jail. I'm a hero. I pardoned spies of a foreign country. I want to give Congress back to a foreign country. Come on, Jack. And it's like, if they do that, then I'm not interested. It was like the Republican primaries. It was like they're like all arguing over like who likes foreign countries more. It's like, listen, I understand America has allies, but like, can we focus on our country or no? Is that not part of it? Someone said voting is totally rigged. WTF? Why aren't we in the streets? Because the feds would arrest you. And also, it doesn't even matter the vote that much because both sides are controlled. So like that, if you can't figure that out, that's why you're so angry. Like people that can't figure out that both sides are controlled by the same people, they're like, we need to throw a fit. And it's like, you definitely don't need to do that because you'll just get arrested. But also it's like, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Your whole party is phony. It's like, you don't have allies. You don't have a real leader. So like, you got to figure that out before you like freak out. You're freaking out is going to do nothing. You freak out because you don't understand how it works. But voting is sketchy, but ballot harvesting is legal, and Republicans need to figure that out and stop playing the victim. At this point, Republicans annoy me so much. I don't care if they lose. Like they're literally like, we're going to get cheated. Okay. Then what did you do to fix it? Nothing. So what are you going to do? Vote for Trump. You got to like Trump, but is he going to win? No, he's going to lose. Why is he going to lose? Because we're the victim. Okay. Is he going to campaign? Is he just going to post pictures of himself looking like Elvis? Is he even going to try? Like, what's the point? Like the whole Trump movement to me is like a clown show. So it's like, no one's even trying to figure out what's going on or how to fix it. They're ready to like play the victim. They're like, let's go to the streets again. It's like, okay, the feds are watching. They're going to catch you again. And then you're going to play the victim. And then Trump's going to run around selling vaccines. Like when are Republicans going to learn? Vote. This also, I have to say this before I leave. This isn't a message that anyone cares about outside of the Trump world. You got to take your head out of your own ass and then like say something to people to win the election. If you don't believe in elections, you should have never even voted for Trump in the first place, or you shouldn't even be paying attention. Like say something to people on the fence. Elon is saying stuff to people. I'm saying stuff. There's a lot of people. Trump's not doing anything. And a lot of his supporters are like, it's stolen. No one gives a shit about that. In like the real world, they don't believe everything you're saying. Some people do, but then they're like, what are you doing about it? Nothing. So then what are you trying to do? Get me to not vote? Like people say to me, like, you're inspiring people not to vote. I vote. I'm telling people to vote. I'm just saying it doesn't matter as much as people realize. Meanwhile, the leader of your party is telling people the election's not real, and he's already saying it's going to be stolen. Who's inspiring people not to vote? Me, who says to vote and your vote counts, or them who says your vote literally doesn't count? It counts, but it's like the parties are kind of corrupt. But it's like, Republicans win in my district. Republicans win in my county. Like, it's not like Democrats win everywhere. You can win. You got to stop playing the victim, though. If you run around and just talk to yourself for 7 months, Biden's going to blow you out legally. He's not even going to need to cheat to beat you guys. It's easy to beat you in Pennsylvania. It's easy to beat you in Michigan. He's going to crush you guys because your message is like, my head so far up Trump's ass is yours. And 80% of the country is like, no. They're like, what's your message for me? It's like the election. That's not a message. Like, talk about the border, talk about the economy, talk about what Trump's going to do. Like, that type of stuff brings people in. There's a lot of, I think, like progressives who do think that Trump didn't start a new war. So they like that about him. And they think Biden's a war hawk. There's a bunch of people pissed off about what Biden's doing with Palestine and Israel. Like, these people are just waiting for you to like bring them in. And you guys are just like repelling them like magnets because you're like, the election. It's like, that's not going to win. Talking about the election is not going to win the election. It doesn't make strategic sense, but whoever spends the most wins. It's definitely a lot of money involved. I don't know who has more money, Trump or Biden. They probably both have like $1 billion, and they'll just, isn't that crazy? They're going to spend billions of dollars on the election. Whatever. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Someone said, look up ballot harvesting is legal in California. It's most not legal anywhere else. Hold on real quick. Ballot harvesting states. Where's ballot harvesting legal? Let's see. Legal. I don't think it's just California. Ballot harvesting by state. Let me see. It's legal in California, Nevada, it looks like, Oregon, Montana, South Dakota, North. I mean, if you look at the map and look it up, it's almost half the states. They have slightly different rules, but it's not just California. I think almost half the states are doing ballot harvesting, but check it out. I'm not obviously only do it if it's legal, or I'm not even asking you to do it. It's just like tell someone in the Republican Party to stop talking about the election and actually figure out how the election works and how to win it, or else get out of the way. You know, if you can't figure out how to win it, go away. You know, if you think it's so rigged that you can't win it, go away. And because there's people out here that think they can win it, and people that are winning elections for governor, for senator. So if you can't do it, go get out of the way and let someone in that is studying how Democrats win and figuring out how to win. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. I'll be back soon. Dream Rare Biz is my new website. Check it out. I'm working with people now on social media. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk for $5 a month. You can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors.